This is AEW 360 Live at Advertising Week New York. I'm BJ Smith. I have with me Andrew Capone of NCC Media. Welcome.
Good to be here again.
Again, yes. So, you've been a busy guy so far. You just got out of a talk.
I did.
You've got another one coming up on Wednesday.
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit about NCC Media. What does NCC Media do?
Well, we're the advertising, sales, marketing, and technology company that's owned by some of the biggest names in the cable industry, Comcast, Spectrum, and Cox, and we affiliate also with all of the satellite and telco and other cable companies. So we're really their national sales arm, dealing with all of the ad agencies and marketers around the country looking to target viewers in cable programming in each market. It's about a $2 billion a year business. It's not a rounding error. We've grown quite a bit.
Nice, that's wonderful. So how long did it take you to get used to saying Spectrum versus Time Warner?
I'm still getting used to it. No, it's Time Warner Cable, not Time Warner.
Yes, Time Warner Cable. Keep me straight.
Right.
So your talk that you just got out of was the Not Fake News Political Advertising Roundtable.
Right.
And it's that time of year again where we're getting into the political season again.
Yeah, even years are the on years now, and there's so much at stake. And of course, the panel was balanced. I had a great panel of some folks who are in the political advertising spectrum. A fellow from Reuters who's part of the card-carrying member of the media, and it's interesting to balance both what it means to the citizenry in terms of what's going on in the political world with the whole advertising element of it, which is $10 billion being spent on political advertising in the 2016 campaign. It's a very meaningful and important subject, and our business happens to be right in the middle of it because political advertisers, the campaigns, the candidates themselves, the PACs, the issue advertisers, have all really started utilizing the targeting capacity of our business of really reaching consumers, and in their case, voters, with very specific messaging in very small geographies. It's been a real ramp up for us, and it's an important part of the ecosystem.
What are some of the tools that you're using to do that targeting, make it so specific?
Well, a lot of the talk is around new technologies, addressability, and programmatic and other things. But the reality is, our business has had the capacity to target for many, many years because the cable industry is built in very small geographies through zoning, right?
Sure.
Which in many cases overlaps with, it's pretty close to things like zip codes and congressional districts. So even without any type of newer technologies, you can get right down to very specific geographies. And then you layer on top of that the fact that we insert in 40 to 60 networks 24 hours a day. So the combination of where people live, what they watch, and then the data that we collect and the data that third parties bring in makes it pretty powerful without having to have all kinds of new technology. Addressability and the fact that we have very, very targeted technologies that are, kind of layering on top of that is going to make it even more important in 2018.
Your next talk is on Wednesday morning, targeted.tv. So
right.
How does what you've learned through the political advertising affect some of the more general marketing?
Right. Well, it's interesting because political advertising has really utilized targeting and big data and the types of things that make advertising extremely specific and powerful, far more than general market advertisers have. They have a very different business, of course. Come election day, you either win or you go home. It's not a market share thing that takes, can unfold over decades. So they have a lot more at stake. General market advertising and targeted TV through their ad agencies and through their media buying services now starting to pick up steam. It's primarily held back, quite frankly, by our business because we have to roll these technologies out. We have to make sure that they're robust and can handle the level of importance that advertising takes, and that we at NCC take the products that all of our affiliates have, that Comcast and Charter and AT&T and Dish and DirecTV, all of the people, and Cox, and kind of make them, I don't want to say white label them, but make an advertiser who might have a footprint that is different than any one of them to be able to utilize some differing technologies but in the same way. So that's what you're starting to see ramp up. We're making it more ubiquitous, we're making it more prevalent, we're enabling more reach, because the one thing about targeting, reach is still really important. So when you have certain levels of targeted inventory, it might not necessarily scale to the point to complement a brand message that is broader in scope. So you're starting to see that balance change a little bit. In the next few years, it's going to be a hugely important business, not just for us, but for our advertising partners.
Do you find any issues with people having trouble grasping the technology versus, I mean, you think about the traditional ad buys, not nearly as sophisticated as you were saying. Are the customers having a hard time understanding how to use this?
I don't think they're having a difficult time comprehending what it means. I think what's happening is, though, you've got what has been not necessarily unsophisticated, but pretty straightforward in terms of exchanging billions of dollars for trillions of impressions in a way that can underscore a very important ad campaign. If you're launching a new car in September, you know that in May or June or July, you've got to lock down your ad campaigns, make sure that it's going to be there, roll out your creative assets, and when the sheet comes off the car, your campaign has to be there. I think what's happening is that, and that's pretty much a fairly cogent marketplace. It's been that way for many, many years. We're going, though, from an assembly line to bespoke, whereas every campaign, due to technology, due to targeting, and due to addressability, is becoming more of a one-off. And I don't think we're yet to the point where either on the advertising side, the advertiser side, or on the media side, that we figured out a way to make it less clunky and less expensive in terms of actually execution. Not on the cost per thousands or cost per points, but on the actual legwork and people it takes. So creating an assembly line with the new technological platforms for linear television and addressable television and digital television is really the next level.
Great. Andrew Capone from NCC Media, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
We'll be back at Advertising Week New York with more AW360 soon.